Did you know that at the Battle of Thermopylae, just 300 Spartans held off a Persian army that may have numbered in the hundreds of thousands? Outnumbered, surrounded, and facing certain death, they fought with such discipline and courage that their story became the stuff of legend. What made the Spartans so feared, so respected, and seemingly invincible on the battlefield? Let's find out. The Spartans are remembered as the ultimate warriors of the ancient world. Raised from childhood to prioritize strength, loyalty, and obedience above all else, they forged a society entirely dedicated to the art of war. In battle, they stood shoulder to shoulder, their shields locking together, their discipline unshakable, even against impossible odds. Their reputation wasn't built on numbers or wealth, it was built on relentless training, unmatched tactics, and a fierce dedication to their city-state. Today, we are exploring what set the Spartans apart from every other army of their time, and why their legacy as near invincible warriors still endures after more than 2,000 years. In Spartan society, military excellence was not a choice. It was a demand. From the moment a boy was born, his life had a singular purpose: to become a warrior. In fact, Sparta's entire social structure revolved around creating the most disciplined, skilled, and fearsome fighters in ancient Greece. The city-state was shaped by its military needs, and its society was organized to ensure that every citizen, particularly the men, would contribute to the defense and expansion of the state. Weakness, in any form, was absolutely not tolerated. Spartan culture glorified strength, endurance, and courage, traits considered vital for both personal honor and the survival of the city-state. This obsession with military perfection permeated every facet of Spartan life, from its politics to its economy. Other Greek states may have valued philosophy, trade, or democracy, but Sparta's entire identity was based on producing warriors who could fight and die for Sparta, no questions asked. At the heart of Sparta's military excellence was the agoge, the mandatory state-sponsored training program that every male Spartan entered at the age of 7. From this young age, Spartan boys were taken from their families and placed in a state-run system designed to transform them into warriors. Family bonds were severed in the name of discipline, as the boys were subjected to brutal conditions intended to test their endurance and toughness. This process was as much about survival as it was about combat. Training in the agoge was grueling and unrelenting. Boys endured long hours of physical activity, including running, wrestling, and sword fighting. They were also trained in survival skills, learning how to hunt, forage, and live off the land with minimal resources. Throughout their training, they were encouraged to endure pain without showing weakness. They slept on the hard ground, received minimal food, and were often encouraged to steal food, practice stealth, though getting caught would result in severe punishment. The entire system aimed to strip away any softness and mould each boy into a resilient and relentless fighter. Once a boy completed his agoge training and became a fully fledged Spartan warrior, his life was entirely dedicated to the military. Spartans were not allowed to pursue other careers or engage in leisurely activities like other Greek citizens. Every Spartan male was expected to be a soldier, ready at a moment's notice to defend the city-state or go to war. This commitment meant that Spartan soldiers lived for one purpose: to serve Sparta and protect it at all costs. Their loyalty to the city-state came above everything else: family, friendships, and even personal survival. Spartan warriors were required to live in military barracks for much of their lives, even after marriage, and only the most dedicated soldiers rose to positions of power or prestige within Spartan society. For them, being a warrior wasn't just a role. It was an identity, a way of life, and a death sentence for any who faltered. But surviving the agoge and meeting Spartans' expectations wasn't easy. Only the strongest, both in mind and body, could endure the grueling training and reach the ranks of the Spartan army. Boys who failed to meet the harsh standards of the agoge were often discarded, leaving behind a legacy of warriors who had already proven themselves capable of withstanding unimaginable hardship. Failure in the agoge wasn't just seen as a personal flaw, it was a failure of the state system itself. Even those who survived the agoge were not guaranteed success. To be a Spartan warrior meant being part of an elite fighting unit, the legendary phalanx, and the standards were impossibly high. Spartans fought not as individuals, but as a cohesive unit, each relying on the man beside him. The phalanx, with its tight-knit rows of soldiers and disciplined teamwork, required each soldier to perform perfectly, without hesitation or fear. For a Spartan, even the slightest mistake could result in the failure of the unit and death on the battlefield. At the heart of the Spartan success was the agoge, the state-sponsored training system that began at the age of 7. This rigorous training not only honed the physical abilities of young Spartans, but also instilled a deep sense of endurance, discipline, and survival instincts. The agoge emphasized physical toughness from day one. Boys were pushed to their physical limits, running long distances, wrestling, and learning various combat techniques. The aim was to build endurance for long campaigns and the relentless hardships of battle. The agoge also fostered an unshakable obedience to authority, teaching Spartans to follow commands without hesitation or question, which was crucial in the chaos of battle. Beyond combat, the agoge stressed survival skills. Boys were trained to endure hunger, thirst, and extreme conditions. They were taught to think and act quickly under pressure, adapt to any environment, and persevere through difficulties. This comprehensive training moulded the Spartan warriors into highly effective soldiers, capable of handling almost any situation they faced on the battlefield. Spartan society was structured in a way that prioritized the creation of warriors, which played a huge role in their battlefield success. Unlike most Greek city-states, where a mix of civilian and military life existed, Sparta's entire social fabric was centered on producing the best fighters in the world. The Spartan economy was built around supporting military needs. The majority of the population, including helots, state-owned slaves, worked the land to provide food and resources, which allowed Spartan men to focus exclusively on military training and service. Spartan politics was similarly structured around ensuring military readiness, with laws that promoted discipline, strength, and unity among the citizens. This focus on military excellence affected daily life as well. Spartans were expected to live minimally, with a lifestyle that discouraged luxury or excess. Even after marriage, men continued to live in military barracks, focusing entirely on training and fighting. This extreme commitment to warfare and discipline created a culture where warriors were not just respected, but revered. The entire society was an extension of the military machine, and every aspect of Spartan life was designed to enhance the ability to fight and win wars. The most famous and arguably most effective military tactic of the Spartans was the use of the phalanx formation. This was a tightly packed, shielded formation that made Spartan soldiers nearly unbeatable when executed correctly. Each Spartan soldier or hoplite would line up in rows, shoulder to shoulder, each man's shield protecting the man next to him. The strength of the phalanx lay in its unity. It was not the individual heroism of a lone warrior that won the day for the Spartans. It was the collective strength of the unit working together in perfect harmony. When the phalanx was properly executed, it was virtually impenetrable, a wall of shields and spears that could mow down any enemy that dared to challenge it. The discipline required to maintain this formation under the pressure of battle was extraordinary. The Spartans didn't fight for personal glory. They fought for the unit, ensuring that every soldier protected the man beside him with his shield. This cooperative fighting style was what allowed the Spartans to face overwhelming odds and still emerge victorious in many battles, despite being outnumbered by their enemies. Perhaps the most defining aspect of Spartan warfare was their culture of honour, which placed the highest value on courage, loyalty and self-sacrifice. For Spartans, death in battle was not something to be feared. It was the ultimate form of honour. Surrender was unthinkable, and retreat was seen as a disgrace. A Spartan warrior's entire life was dedicated to the pursuit of excellence in battle, and the greatest achievement was to die defending Sparta, whether on the battlefield or in the defence of the city-state. This fierce commitment to honour meant that Spartans fought with an unparalleled intensity and determination. They were taught from a young age that a warrior's worth was determined not by victory, but by the way he fought, bravely, without fear and without retreat. This mindset made them not only formidable opponents, but also a symbol of strength and resilience to their allies and enemies alike. Perhaps the most iconic moment in Spartan history, the Battle of Thermopylae, showcased their unparalleled discipline, strategic brilliance, and unwavering courage. In 480 BCE, King Leonidas and 300 Spartan warriors, alongside a small group of Greek allies, stood against the vast Persian army of Xerxes I, which some accounts claim numbered in the hundreds of thousands. The odds were insurmountable, yet the Spartans held their ground at the narrow Thermopylae Pass, a location chosen specifically for its strategic value in bottlenecking the Persian forces. For 3 days, the Spartans fought ferociously, holding off the Persians with remarkable discipline and tactical brilliance. Their formations were unbreakable, their shields and spears expertly utilised to fend off wave after wave of attackers. The terrain at Thermopylae favoured the defenders, allowing the Spartans to exploit the narrow pass and limit the impact of the Persian numbers. Though vastly outnumbered, the Spartans inflicted massive casualties on the Persian forces, demoralising the invaders and demonstrating that even the largest armies could be stopped by an unyielding, disciplined few. The true legend of Thermopylae wasn't just the defence, but in the sacrifice of the Spartans. They knew their chances of survival were slim, but their resolve was unshakable. Despite eventually being outflanked and overwhelmed, the Spartans fought to the death, embodying their code of honour, to never surrender, even in the face of certain destruction. Their sacrifice became a symbol of unbreakable courage and military prowess, inspiring generations to come. The Battle of Thermopylae immortalised the Spartans as paragons of strength, unity and sacrifice, ensuring their legendary status for millennia. Relentless training, a society built on military excellence, innovative battlefield tactics, and an unshakable warrior code. These were the pillars that made the Spartans nearly invincible in battle. Their commitment to perfection, whether in combat or discipline, set them apart as one of the most feared and respected armies in history. What's your favourite Spartan battle or fact? drop it in the comments below. And if you want more legendary stories of warriors and tactics that changed history, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell.